Hello, it's Chef Annie Falcon. Today it's Cooking 101, and while some of these skills will seem very rudimentary to some, everybody had to learn it at some point. So here's your chance. We are going to learn how to whisk eggs to make scrambled eggs. But I'm going to teach you first about the tools. I'm going to show you in a bowl of water here what you're going to be doing. I'm going to be using 3 different herbs so you can kind of see the colors as they get whisked in. They really won't separate much, but it'll be a good example. So let's get started. So if you have a recipe and it calls for whisking something or to whisk eggs to make scrambled eggs, the first tool that we were taught to use is a fork. And basically you just put the eggs in the bowl and then you'll just do this kind of motion to whisk them. And usually with eggs, they don't have to go everywhere. Anyways, so you would whisk the eggs like this. But if I put some dill in the water, I want to whisk the dill in. And so I would do it like this. And keep the fork low. Just keep kind of spinning it. And you keep that. And it pretty much distributes the dill throughout. Now, clean up this mess. I also use a whisk. This is my favorite one. It's super old. You can see that the handle's all destroyed and bleached out. My husband can fix it. So anyway, I've had this for a number of years. I've used this lots and lots of times to whisk many things, including eggs. So it'd be my second choice. I usually just grab a fork because it's quicker. But this works wonderfully. So I have some annatto, which is an herb that is red and usually used to put red coloring into things. Although it does have a taste of its own, it's from a pepper. So then you would use the whisk like this. And these are very fast. They have different balloon shapes. This is called the balloon. This one's fairly narrow. I have really big ones, and the purpose of the big ones are to incorporate a lot more air while you do it. And the reason you would want to do that is if you're whisking cream in order to make whipped cream, and you would just whisk it until you got enough air in it so that it lifted and became whipped cream. So that would be the second option you could use. The third option is the newest and most fun tool that I found. I am a kitchen gadget girl. I must have everything, but this one really got my attention. So it's a motion type of whisk, and I thought it would be so perfect for eggs. I make a lot of eggs. So I have some turmeric here. I'll put that in there so we can see what that does. Just roll around, and this is just so easy. I'm out of the way. And I made this eggs with this the other day and just loved it. Comes in a few sizes. I got all 3 sizes because that's me. But this is, I think, their smallest size. This is their second smallest size, and it's really only the size you need for something like this. So this actually works very quickly, and voila! So this is a little 101 on whisking. You can use a fork, you can use a whisk, or you can use one of the rotary whisks, which I'll have linked in the comments. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to make some scrambled eggs. There are different additives you can put in. I'm just going to make the most basic scrambled eggs for you, but we're going to start with whisking them. But first we're going to start with cracking them. So I have this theory that I've been doing for quite a while, and that is sometimes when you break an egg you end up with shell in the bowl. So what I've been doing is taking a convex glass lid, cracking the egg on that, and releasing it into the bowl. So when you crack an egg, you just want to tap just a little bit, and tap it so that it cracks and opens up. The issue with cracking them and getting eggs in the bowl is that they say that the bigger surface area that you crack, the greater chance of getting shell into your dish. So because they kind of oppose each other here on the convex and the convex, it's less area to hit. They have said to crack it on wood, but I find that I just end up, it's not enough force for me. It needs to be something harder than wood. So I use the lid, works pretty well. And so far so good. And I'm going to use 5 eggs. So the funny thing about eggs are that if you have 2 fried eggs for breakfast, it looks like a sufficient amount of food. If you scramble 2 eggs, it will look like you're starving people to death. It is the craziest thing. So you tend to need more scrambled eggs, more eggs for scrambled eggs than you do for fried eggs. At least that's my opinion and my husband's opinion when I make him eggs. So I'd recommend 2 or 3 eggs per person, probably 3 eggs per person when you're doing scrambled eggs. And you can certainly increase that. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you scrambling them with a fork. Turn this around so I can hold it. So I would tip the bowl toward me, start putting this in here, and instead of getting water all over the place, this is more calm down. So this will work. But the problem with using the fork is that the white part of the egg won't really break down all that easily with just a fork. And sometimes I want my eggs really, really blended. If I don't really care or it doesn't call for it in whatever I'm making, I'll just grab a fork. It's not a big deal. But if I want something more heavy duty, I'll switch to a wire whisk, and then I could do the same thing with this. Now it's going to take, again, really a little bit more force to get that white part really blended in, and you can see it right over here. It's still there, and yes, I can keep blending it, but that is why I got this other whisk that I was talking about. So this is pretty cool because you just put it in and you can and it keeps everything in the bowl. It's very quick, and I found that it did a really, really good job of breaking up the egg completely and getting it nice and smooth how I prefer it. So you can put it straight down, put the bowl straight down, and just plunge this into it over and over and over. If I had more eggs in here, it actually might whisk a little bit better because it would come up higher. So, and this thing is pretty cool too because it also spins around. You can kind of use it to stir. So that is whisking, and now it's mixed in pretty well. When I make scrambled eggs, like I said, I put different additives in. Sometimes I will put milk. Sometimes I will put some olive oil. There's different schools of thought on it. I'm just making traditional scrambled eggs right now, so we're just going to add some milk. That's probably about a 1/4 cup. And we're just going to whisk it in. You really can't go too wrong. I mean, you don't want to put a whole cup into just 5 or 6 eggs. Probably a few tablespoons per egg. And that is pretty well blended. Okay. The other thing I noticed about this is that you need to clean it really well, and you need to keep it in this upright position, and then you're going to want to rinse it thoroughly this way. I would stick it in a glass of cold water to let it start to soak the egg off of it. A cleaning tip is that don't put egg covered dishes into hot water. It will cook the egg onto it. Same with your bowls. If you really want to rinse it, you're going to put it in cold water. So I would take this, plunge it into a glass of cold water up to about here with some soap and let it soak. And I would probably whisk it around in there a few times and rinse it really well to get all this egg out of it. What you don't want to do is do this and have the egg run up into the handle. So that's the only caveat on that, but I do really like this tool. All right, I'm going to get us set up to make some scrambled eggs. Okay, so we're set up to make eggs. This is a little gas cooktop. So if you had a house or an apartment that had an electric stove, but you preferred to cook with gas, and I know that most people watching this is cooking 101s, but other people maybe, you can buy these little gas burners easily. I'll link one online for you to Amazon, and there's many you can pick from. They hold a little cartridge of gas. They're safe to use, but there are some safety considerations. So let me talk about them. First of all, you never want to have a pan that extends onto this area here. This is where the gas is. If you have a pan, the pan's very hot and it's on top of here, it's not safe. So there are some limitations to these burners. You could not put a gigantic pot on it safely and make a big pot of soup. You might just blow your house up, so please don't do that. So please make sure that your pan matches your burner. So there's that. The other thing every kitchen should have, and that is a fire extinguisher. What I love about this is that this isn't something that has to be maintained by the city, signed off for by the fire department. It doesn't go bad. There's no expiration date on it. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, November 25. So I'll be needing a new one. I've had this for a long time and I've never ever used it, thank God. But I always have one around, and I definitely have one outside with my barbecue. So this is a first alert, and I will check Amazon to see what they're making now. But this is my advice about this, and that is to, when you get it, take the lid off, and whatever way you think you would use it most, if you have the label towards you, you need to know that the pointer, the chute part, the spray port is facing the way you want it to go. In the middle of an emergency, you don't want to grab it and be going, oh my gosh, where is that thing? So set it up so it makes sense to you. So for me, it makes sense that if I have it sitting like this in my kitchen and I grab it like this, that the pointer is instantly ready for me. So that's my advice on that. And then just keep it nearby. And of course, this would be the day that I need to use it when I'm on film, right? Anyways, the other thing that I really recommend that really helps is a big lid. So if you have a pan on the fire and you end up having a fire, just grab a lid and put it over it, and that really should end it. There shouldn't be any more issue. You don't even need the spray. I would do that first. If you have something bigger, then grab that to spray everything you have. Some people will throw towels over their fires, and I gotta tell you that if there's a fire, this towel is just gonna melt and flame into the pot and give it more fuel. So please don't do that. The other thing that I see people doing on their home stoves, and it's just, it just, it's like fingernails on a chalkboard to me, and that is that they'll leave towels on their stovetops or near their stovetops, like on the side. Don't do that. If I ever see towels anywhere near a stove, you'll see me immediately whipping them away. So have a towel nearby for yourself, but keep it away from the flame. So, all right, so here we go. So this little thing is pretty easy to light. It just turns on like this. There we go. And it's on. And then they're all a little different, but they're pretty easy. All the way up is the highest flame, and then down. I have it at simmer, which this thing is pretty hot. It burns really quickly. It gets heated up very quickly. So simmer seems to work pretty well for this. Always keep your pot handles to the side. Please don't do this. If you've seen any amount of movies at all where people hit this and dump the whole pot of stuff over them, it's funny, but it's not funny what happens in your own kitchen. All right, so there's that. And then we're gonna let that heat up. I'm gonna put a little bit of olive oil in the pan. This happens to be a Super Sizzle extra virgin olive oil. There's heat points on different oils. This olive oil can take a little more heat. I'm not gonna be flambeing these scrambled eggs, but I tend to buy a little more high heat olive oil for when I use it. I'm just gonna put a little in the pan there. And then this is a non-stick pan. I don't normally recommend them. This pan is made by 𝐼𝐴𝐻. It's all safe, free of PFAS and BHA&T or whatever those letters are that I don't remember at the moment. However, I prefer to cook in a stainless steel pan or a 𝐼𝐴𝐻 pan. I have both. I'm doing it in this today for the contrast so that you can see the eggs a little better rather than on a white background. So let the oil get warmed up in your pan. It'll take just a moment. While that's doing that, I'm going to add some butter. I really like buttered scrambled eggs. This is my preference. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, but it's also a good way to see if the oil's hot because the butter will melt. Now, butter has a high burn point, a low burn point, so it burns easily. So that's why you really want to watch your flame when you're cooking with butter and work quickly and pay attention. And when you're making scrambled eggs, you are not going to leave, go do something else, be on your phone. Interestingly enough, the first thing I ever made was when I was 8 years old, and it was scrambled eggs, which is funny because eggs can be difficult. And for have an 8-year-old choose to make scrambled eggs, I think was significant. I pushed my mother's old step stool kitchen chair over to her cool little cooktop that she had. She had a really nice little setup. And I don't know where she was, but when she came in and discovered me, she was super upset. I don't know, she thought that I would hurt myself, but I was not tall enough at 8 years old to even reach the counter. I had to sit up on a stool. I was a micro child, which I have since rectified. Anyways, so as you can see, the butter's pretty much melted. It doesn't have to be all the way. It can be a little dot. All right, and then you're going to take the eggs and you're going to pour them in like this. There we go. Alright, so you're going to wait a moment or so before you start to move them around. You want them to start to set in the bottom a little bit, but you don't want them to burn either, which is why, and everybody's stove is different, so you'll have to gauge your own. You may burn an egg or two, or you'll learn how high a heat you can use for scrambled eggs. You can test it, you can see what it's doing. It's not really creating any egg curds yet, that's what I call it. That's not the correct term, but that's what I call it. I'm going to let it sit here for a moment. You can see it's starting to set up around the edges a little bit. There, starting to firm up there and there. These are just basic regular scrambled eggs, but it's super easy to make those really cool folded eggs at this point. So how you would do that, I can just show you that right now, is you let it sit a little bit longer here until more of the bottom gets firmed up. I don't know what it is about the different egg shapes that makes them taste different, but I really like those folded type eggs. Let's see, so you go like this. Is it ready yet? Like this, and you drag it back and you stop it right there. And you like this, drag it back, stop it right there. What you're doing is you're making these little lines of eggs that kind of pile up on each other. I really like very soft scrambled eggs. I don't mean soft in terms of not cooked. I mean no browning on them, just nice and yellow and not hardened from a flame. Sorry about that. This side. And you can hear it sizzling a bit in there, so the flame is pretty good right now. And I'll do this method again for you to show you how you can make them do this rose. It's kind of cool, but they're kind of doing it. Normally with scrambled eggs, you kind of like chop all into it and make little pieces. This kind of makes this linear, layered egg. I've seen people flip this over and I just about lost my mind. I never do that with this pulled egg type. Eggs cook really quickly, but they also keep cooking on themselves. So you can easily overcook them if you don't watch it. You can usually let the eggs finish themselves off pretty easily. I'm just going to cut into it a little bit so I can get a little more heat going on it. Pull it apart over here. There we go. You can flip them a bit if you feel like you can't get the top of it to cook. You can put a lid on it if you like and let them finish a bit more. Oh, there we go. If you're going to put the lid on it, go ahead and turn off the heat and let it rest for a moment. Now this is my favorite sound in the whole kitchen. Let's see if I can do it. There it is. It's getting the plates out because that means it's time to eat. So we let that sit for a moment. And if you can see here, it looks a little bit wet, but it really is done because it's going to keep cooking. So take it off of the stove completely. If you leave it on the burner, even though the burner's off, it's going to keep cooking. Okay, so now we're ready. You can see they have sat for a moment and they have really kind of finished themselves in cooking. Slide them out of the pan directly into the plate. Also, while they're cooking like that, you can put additives on it. You could put cheese on the top of it and let the cheese melt and then go ahead and plate it. You could put cheese on it now. Obviously, you could put all kinds of salsa or other things. So, I hope you'll make scrambled eggs. Let me know how you did, and thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and follow. I appreciate hearing from where you're all from. Leave me a comment if you can. Have a great day, everybody.